Notes before we start? I hope all of you have practiced it well, right? The corporate data model.
Venue, I didn't do much because I had issues with the login, but now I'm able to log in. So I'll complete it later today.
Okay. Alyssa? Smaki? So you need to practice every day, the same day, what we have discussed. Otherwise, it would be difficult. Shamsun? Okay. So let me share my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So what did we do?
Adding pick list in XML file.
Yeah. We did the corporate data model. Right? The third step. Now, let's go to, after third step, we have the fourth step, which is defining the country-specific corporate data model. What is country-specific corporate data model used for? What is country-specific corporate data model used for?
Country specific data model means especially country specific information like NID, this kind of information which is specific for country for employee.
Per employee. Employee data is defined in succession data model, not in corporate data model. Corporate data model doesn't talk anything about employees. Country-specific corporate data model is all about the maintenance or definition of country-specific address format.
Sorry.
And where is this country-specific corporate address used? Corporate address is used in location object, right?
Yes.
And where do we define this data model? So how do we import, export? Either from instance or from provisioning. Okay, I'll download it from instance. Search for corporate. Country specific corporate data model. Import, export, country, region specific corporate data model. Let me export it first. Go to export. Okay. Right click and open with XMLPad. Okay. Now go to source table view, country specific fields, expand. There are 51 countries for which the address format is defined. You see here, in the corporate data model, we have seen the HRIS elements, 17 HRIS elements, right? Location, pay grade, pay range, frequency, location group. So all of those HRIS elements. Now here we have 51 countries. For each of the countries, now this is the country ID. For each of this country, we have the corporate address defined. HRIS element here is corporate address, only one element. For 51 countries, the element corporate address is defined. And under each element, you see HRIS fields. First country you see here is USA. And the corporate address is showing as 9 fields. HRIS fields, 9. So let's see what are those fields. Address 1, 2, 3, city, county, state, province, zip code, and country. So these are the fields of These are the fields of corporate address or business address of USA. And you can see this under location object. So if I go duplicate the session, manage organization, pay and job structure. Go here, search for the element location. Somebody has named it location name. This is not correct. So let me. So location label, they have changed it to location name. See here, location name. Change it. Okay, I'll change it back. Let me see location group, JSON, pay range. The other elements are, I think, fine. And any other fields here. Okay, so this is fine. Okay, now go back to country specific corporate data model. Okay, here in the country specific corporate data model, I have seen the corporate address format of USA. So search for country, United States. So what is the address format we have? Address line 1, 2, 3, city, county, state, province, and zip. So these are the fields of country USA. Okay. Now here it says the ID of the field, it says address 1, but here it says address line 1. So if I go and expand the label of address 1, you see the label as address line 1. See the label as address line 1. And the state field has got a pick list here. Go expand the pick list and see it is mapped to a pick list called state_USA. If I click on the drop down of state, you see all the states of United States of America, USA. So these are the states of USA. Okay. Now, similarly, now the attributes remain same. Maximum length, ID of the field, visibility, both are none. Required, if it is mandatory, it is true. Label, and then if you are using pick list, here every element, every corporate address of each country has got the pick list. State, they have mapped it to a pick list. Now if I go to country India, HRS element, corporate address, there are 8 fields. Expand 8 fields. So these are the fields. Okay. And pick list, you see it is mapped to state has a pick list, state_India. Now if I search for country India, We have state or union territory, and this shows up all the states of India. These are common: address line 1, 2, 3, town, city, district, and pin. District, you have not seen it in United States, but here we see district. You see here the field called county. This is county, but we are not using county. What is this field used as? District. It is used as district. So for all of these 51 countries, the country specific address format is defined. All of the countries, the country specific address format is defined. And any other country other than this 51, you will not see the address format. If I go to Afghanistan, you only see city. If I go to Albania, you don't see any address format. Address format, you only see one field called city. If for any country, the address format is not defined, they will see only one field called city. Clear? That's it on your country specific corporate data model. Yes or no? Any doubts here? No doubts?
Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
Next
Yeah.
topic. After fourth step, we have the fifth step, which is setting up of MDF foundation objects. Fifth step is setting up of MDF foundation objects. Now, what are MDF foundation objects? Now let's see the types of objects that we have. Examples of each of those objects. And then where do we define them? Do you maintain them? And the bulk objects maintenance. Okay. The first type of objects that we have seen is foundation objects, right? What are the examples of foundation objects? Location, pay range, pay grade, etc. Okay. And then where do you define these foundation objects? We define foundation objects in corporate data model. And we maintain them in manage, organization, pay, and job structure. Bulk objects, import, foundation data. I'll explain you again all of this. Next type of objects is MDF foundation objects. Let me write all of them first. This is done in configure, object definition, manage data, import and export data. And the third object is generic objects. Etc. This is the same. And employee objects. Etc. This is done in succession data model. And new employee or employee files, import employee data. Okay. Now these are the types of objects that we have in EC. Okay. This table is very, very important. If you know this table, 50% of your configuration would be completed. This table is very important. Now let's see what is this. First one we know, we have discussed about the foundation objects. What are foundation objects? Objects which are used to define your org, pay, and the job structure. Examples, all of those 17 elements what we have seen in corporate data model. They are all foundation objects. Location group, geozone, location, pay grade, pay range, pay frequency, pay component group, event reason, workflows. These are dynamic roles. These are the foundation objects that we have seen. And where do we define them? They are defined in corporate data model. So definition meaning designing of the object is done in corporate data model. And the maintenance part, we do it in manage, organization, pay, and job structure. We do it in manage, organization, pay, and job structure. That means if I want to create a location, if I want to create a location group or a pay component or a pay grade, I need to go to manage, organization, pay, and job structure. And the bulk object maintenance. Now this same maintenance part, but you want to do it in bulk, go to import foundation data. If I have to upload 100 locations or if I have to upload 100 pay components, so I need to go to import foundation data. That's about the foundation objects. The second type of objects that we have is MDF foundation objects. MDF meaning metadata framework foundation objects. MDF foundation objects are metadata framework foundation objects. These are the objects which are migrated from corporate data model. Initially, we used to have a lot of foundation objects. Along with the existing foundation objects, we had company, business unit, division, department, cost center, job classification, job function. So these were also foundation objects earlier, but now they are migrated. They are migrated and now we are calling them metadata framework foundation objects. So we define them in configure object definition of instance. Go to configure object definition of instance to define them. That means if I want to create a field in company object, if I want to create a field in division object, or if I want to edit the attribute of one of the fields of department, so I need to go to configure object definition. And the maintenance part, if you have to maintain the data, that means creation of a department, creation of a company, or creation of a division. So this is done in manage data. And the upload part, if you have bulk objects, hundreds of departments, hundreds of companies, if you want to create, go to import and export data. Next type of objects are generic objects. Generic objects are also defined, maintained, and imported in the same place as MDF objects. Technically, there is no difference between MDF and generic objects. Generic objects are the objects which are defined in configure object definition, which are there from the beginning, they are there in the instance. Okay. So examples of it are time type or your holiday calendar, shift schedule, position, etc. All of these objects that we see in managed data are the generic objects. And the last type of object is employee objects. Examples, personal information, job information, comp information, biographical information, employment information. All of these are examples of employee objects, and these are defined in succession data model. Or we can also define them using manage business configuration. Maintenance part, if I have to maintain the data in it, I can do it in add new employee or employee files. And the import option, we have it in import employee data. Bulk employees can be uploaded using import employee data. Any doubts here? This table is very, very important. Next couple of days we'll be doing these activities using one of these actions. Any doubts here? Okay. So let's go to implementation guide and see what is MDF foundation objects. As part of phased migration for foundation objects have been migrated to metadata framework. The following foundation objects are now MDF foundation objects, also referred to as generic objects. These MDF objects are also called generic objects, GOs. Any org information configured using foundation objects will now be configured using corresponding MDF foundation objects. Cost center, department, division, business unit, legal entity. So all of these are the MDF foundation objects. These are all MDF foundation objects. And these are migrated in these releases. You see Q2 2015, Q4 2015, and so on. Earlier, the release was happening quarterly. Now it is half-yearly. Earlier, we used to have the quarterly releases. In these quarters, they have migrated these foundation objects from corporate data model. The object definition for these foundation objects have also been migrated from corporate data model to MDF. They are migrated from corporate data model. And as a result, the migrated foundation objects will no longer be configured in corporate data model. Instead, the configure object definition page will be used to configure these MDF foundation objects, and manage data page will be used to manage MDF foundation objects. Okay, clear on MDF foundation objects?
Yeah.
Can you repeat again, please?
Sorry?
Can you repeat again, please? MDF
Yeah.
database.
MDF foundation objects. Now, earlier in the initial days when SuccessFactors started their implementation, we used to have a lot of foundation objects, lot of objects in corporate data model. Now, if I open the corporate data model, we only see these 17 elements. We only see these 17 elements. This is country specific corporate. Okay. If you see, these are the 17 elements what we have: location, group, geo zone, location, and all. But initially, we used to have company, business unit, division, department, cost center, job classification, job function. So all of these elements were part of corporate data model. SuccessFactors has migrated these objects. They have removed those objects from corporate data model. Now we don't see legal entity, which is company. We don't see business unit. We don't see division, department. So these are migrated to instance. Instead of corporate data model, we define them in configure object definition because they are migrated to instance. And these objects are also referred as MDF. The MDF foundation objects are also referred as generic objects. Okay. So if I have to define any of these objects, like if I go to instance, within instance, if I go to manage data. Now, all of this, we don't see them here in manage organization pane. Now we need to go to manage data. I need to go to manage data to maintain them. If I want to create a department, so you go create department. The screen looks similar to manage organization pane. Now, but it is manage data. Now I see all of these fields here. I see all of these details here. And if I want to create or no, define any of these fields, I'll have to go to configure object definition. There is a place called configure object definition. You need to go here. To add a field, to change the property of the field, go to configure object definition. Okay. Now, and to import the bulk data, we go to import and export data. So that's what it says here. The object definition is not done in corporate data model anymore. Instead we use configure object definition. And to maintain the data, we use manage data. Clear?
Okay.
Okay. So let's go here. Let me open kickoff template. And kickoff template. Okay. So let me open foundation objects here. Okay. Employee Central Foundation objects. Foundation objects are building blocks of EC system, and there are three categories of foundation objects. What are those three categories? The first objects are org structure related elements. Second set are location structure. Location structure is also part of org structure. Job structure and the pay structure. Org, job, and pay structure. So that's why we see the action name called manage organization pay and job structure. Initially, all of these objects were called foundation objects. But now some of these objects are migrated to instance, and now we are not calling them foundation, we are calling them MDF foundation objects. And what are those objects? All of the objects of org structure. You see here, legal entity, business unit, division, department, and cost center. So all of them are migrated to MDF. And we are calling them MDF foundation objects, not foundation objects. Location structure elements, we have location group and location. Both of them are in corporate data model. Job structure, you have job classification and job function. Both of them are migrated, and now we are calling them MDF foundation objects. Under pay structure, we have pay group and pay calendar. These two are migrated. Pay range, frequency, pay component, geozone, and pay component group. So these are still in corporate data model, and now we still call them foundation objects. So foundation objects are building blocks of EC system, and these three categories: org, job, and pay. And out of these objects, most of them are migrated to instance. Okay, so what do we do with them?
So Venu, if we are supposed to set up, like say location, we go and do it on the instance side, right?
Maintenance part is always done in instance.
What about business unit? Like say, if you want to create a new business unit, do we do it on the instance side?
Yes, everything is done in instance. MDF foundation objects, these
Everything
objects
is
are
on
done
instance.
manage data. You need to go to manage data to maintain it.
Okay.
Location, you need to go to manage organization pay.
So-
Pay grade, pay frequency, you need to go to manage organization pay.
What is the difference between foundation objects and MDF foundation objects?
Foundation objects are defined in corporate data model.
Okay.
MDF foundation objects are defined in configure object definition.
I mean,
This is in instance, this is
Yeah.
in data model.
and what type of categories do do we find in the corporate data model foundation objects?
What did we see in XML? This
Oh,
set.
the 17 elements.
Hmm.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Don't get confused. Definition part of the foundation objects are done in corporate data model. Definition part of MDF objects are done in configure object definition of instance. The front end. This is not in XML. This is not in XML. This is in XML, and we also have option of manage business configuration.
The foundation objects are defined by does the client define this?
No,
Or
we define them.
We
No,
define
this
them.
is
It's a default.
these are common for every customer.
Okay.
Okay. There's no option to create additional foundation objects. We can create MDF foundation objects, but not foundation objects.
Okay. Thanks.
In interviews also, they will confuse you asking these questions.
Yeah.
Okay. If you are clear with this table, then you can answer any question.
Okay. I think I'm clear with that right now.
Now, foundation objects, what are they? Objects that are used to define your org, pay, and the job structure. What does org structure tells us? Org structure tells us where in the organization the employee and position belongs. Now, if you look at the org chart, okay, if I have my company at the highest level, under company, how many business units are there? Under business units, how many divisions are there? Under divisions, how many departments are there? And in each department or in each division, how many employees are there? This we can see in org structure. This is your company structure, how your company is structured. And then the job structure tells us about what an employee does in the organization. Electricians, fitters report to their engineers. Engineers report to their managers, general managers. General manager report to their president. President reporting to director. Director reporting to maybe CEO. Okay, it gives us the structure of the employees. And the pay structure tells us about how an employee gets paid. Maybe different grade of employees or different type of employees will have different pay structures. Interns will only get paid of stipend. Interns will only get stipend, whereas workers will get some pay structure. Managers will have a different pay structure. CEOs will have a different pay structure. Right? So pay structure tells about what an employee gets paid. And the location structure states where the employee physically sits in the organization. Here, the employee in a particular department or a division or a company. Here, the physical location of the employee, where employee sits and works for the organization. That is location structure. What can we do with the foundation objects? You can rename them for these foundation objects. We can rename them. That we have seen. Location group, we have renamed it to city. Pay grade, we have renamed it to band. So any foundation object can be renamed as per customer requirement. If customer want to use the department as org unit, division as a function, we can rename them. You can associate them, meaning you can create relationship between the objects. The object can be associated with another object with a multiplicity as 1-to-many or 1-to-1. You can decide what data is held against them. If you have renamed a particular object from location group to city, so all of those that you create with that object are now cities, not location groups, because we have renamed them. Division you have changed to function. So all of those objects that you create in that particular screen are now called the functions, not divisions. You can default data to employee record from them. Once you have set the data, these objects, you can default the data to the employee. Like at company level, you will be defining how many hours the employee should be working for. Once you set up that, automatically when you choose company for the employee, system will default that come weekly hours for the employee. You can default certain data for employees from the objects, and they are effective dated. All of these foundation objects, what you see, these are effective dated, meaning every record that you create, these are effective dated. You need to create with an effective date. Okay. Now the foundation objects, okay, again, these are called now MDA foundation objects, but since they were part of earlier, they were part of foundation objects, they're now calling them as foundation objects. Now the foundation objects first structure is your org structure elements. Now all of these org structure elements are migrated. And the first element that we are going to maintain in system would be legal entity. Legal entity is the company where the employees hide. Legal entity or a company. Now the legal entity means standard success factors label for the legal entity is legal entity. But this can be renamed to company, this can be renamed to organization, or whatever your customer want to call it as. Okay, so basically the company or legal entity, both of them are same. No legal entity can cover more than one country. While creating a company, you will have option to choose the country. And you can only choose one country. That means one company can belong to only one country, not multiple countries. Because the country in the legal entity determines country of employees assigned to that legal entity. Because every company has to follow the law of land in which they are located. All the employees, now if I say a company in India, this company has to follow all the policies and guidelines that are framed by government of India. Okay, if an employee has to get a weekly off, okay, so company has to give that week off. If government says employee should be getting these many leaves, casual leaves or sick leaves or earned leaves or privilege leaves, okay, now every company has to follow that. Okay, similarly, a company can exist in other country also, but the company registration and company name would be different. If I have my company called TCS India Limited, TCS might exist in US and UK also. There you will be calling it as a different name, TCS US or TCS UK Limited. Okay, that's a different company. That's why it says no legal entity can cover more than one country. Second is business unit. The level of org hierarchy lower than legal entity. Just under legal entity, you'll have the business unit. Business unit is the area of the company that one represents the operating unit or represents the business function within the company, and it is not geographical. Business unit is the area of the business. Now let's say I am implementing for a customer called Reliance Industries. Reliance Industries has got many businesses. Okay, under one company, you have different businesses, and now we are calling them as business units. They are into manufacturing, they are into sales, they are into infra, they are into something else. So these are the business areas of one company. And then third is division. Level of org hierarchy structure lower than business unit. Under business units, you can have the divisions. Within manufacturing, what do you manufacture? I manufacture electronics. I manufacture electricals. I manufacture food products. So these are the divisions of that manufacturing. And then department. Department where the employee works, which is lower than division. Under division, you can have a department. HR department, sales department, finance department, purchase department. So these are all departments. It is lower than division. Cost center, where the employee's cost gets assigned, and it can be assigned at business unit level, division level, department level, or at position level. And this does not fall part of org hierarchy, but it hierarchically inherited along the structure, and it is defined in the financial system. These cost centers are defined or maintained in finance system. These are maintained by finance people. They'll just give, because these are to be assigned to employees, they will be sharing the cost center details, and we have to maintain them at the employee level. Location, physical location where the employee works. Okay. And then the position. Position is concrete and can be occupied by the employee in the company. Every employee in the organization should be assigned with one unique position, and one position can only be assigned to one employee. Positions are, because they are considered single instance of a role. Like examples, your human resource director, HR executive, HR trainee, okay, sales director, sales executive, etc. Then we have location group. Okay, location group meaning geographical grouping of location foundation objects used for reporting purposes primarily. Location group meaning if you are implementing for a customer who has got hundreds of locations, and if you want to classify or categorize your locations into different groups. Within India, we operate from 100 locations, and these locations are in different places of India. So I want to group them by region. Okay, east, west, north, and south. Create location groups called east, west, north, and south. And while creating location, you tell the system which group does this location belongs to. Okay, and custom groups. Customer requirement is typical and standard given objects are not enough. Sometimes customers may ask for additional objects, like a function or an org unit or a sub-function or a subdivision or a sub-department, which are not available in system. So you can create these custom objects. Okay. Clear?
Yes, Venu. Yeah.
Okay. Now, the first structure of elements that we are going to define are the org structure elements. And org management is based on objects like legal entity, business unit, division, department, cost center. Okay, and then you'll have job code and job function, which are part of job structure. Now, this is your org structure. These objects describe various units of company and are structured according to tasks and the function related aspect, which is shared across the entire company. If I have a department, human resources, or a sales, or a finance. Okay, so these are the departments structured according to the task that they do. What does a HR person do, or a HR department do? What does a HR sales department do? What does the finance department do? Together, these objects with their hierarchical representation, hierarchical relations forms the org structure. Now, if you look at the org structure, once we define all of them, you will see the org structure in this way. Now, all of the org structure elements that we have, we turn this into this structure. Okay, individual elements, you turn them into this structure by associating them. Now, associations are always done at the child level. You map a parent to the child. You map a parent to the child. So, once you create all of the org structure elements, you will see the org structure with these positions like this. You'll have highest entity would be your company, which is legal entity. Under company, you can have business unit. Under business unit, you can have divisions. Under divisions, you can have departments, and under departments, you can have cost centers. This is how we'll be creating the org structure. And we are going to maintain the org structure elements now. Okay. So the fifth step, what they say here is maintenance of MDF foundation objects. Says setting up of MDF foundation objects. And these are done in instance. Okay. Now, when you log into instance, this is your home page. Once you log in, this is your home page. Okay. On the home page, you see this is the logo. Sorry, it is not showing up. Okay. I'll have to reset this logo. And the one what you see here as a home, this is called home drop down or called module picker. This drop down what you see, this is called module picker, which contains all of the modules here. You have, if you want to fill your goals, you need to go to goals. If you want to have your performance appraisal field, you will go to performance. Okay. You want to see the org chart, you can go to org chart. You want to work on some requisition, you go to recruiting. Want to fill the onboarding of the employee, onboarding details of the employee, you go to onboarding 1.2 or onboarding. So you can see all the modules that are enabled in the system. Now, these might vary based on the modules that are enabled for customer. If customers are not using compensation module, they won't see this. If customers are not using recruiting and onboarding, they don't see this. They are not using learning, they don't see this. So these are enabled dynamically depending on the customer's requirement. And just beside your module picker, we have global search bar. This is called global search bar. And what can we do with this global search bar is you can search for actions or people. So why we are calling the global search bar is any place you navigate or any action that you take. Okay, let's say if I'm going to employee files. Okay, I'm navigating to employee files. On this page also, employee files page also, you can see the global search bar. Here you can see the global search bar. Okay, any place you go, if I go to goals, even on the goals, I can see the global search bar. So any page that you navigate, you will see the global search bar here. Okay, let me go back to home page. So that's why we call it global search bar. And you can search for action or people, any action that you want to do. Like manage data, manage organization, corporate import, export, corporate data model, import foundation data. So any action that you want to navigate, you can click or search for that action here. And along with the actions, you can also search for people. I want to search for an employee called Mark. Go search with the name Mark. It shows up the names of the employees. Now I want to search for name Jennifer. Okay, so you will see the employee names here. And when you mouse over on the employee, it gives you some basic information. This is called quick card. This is called quick card. Any employee, you just mouse over, it shows up the basic details of that employee. So this is called the quick card. Global search bar, you can search for any action or you can search for a people. Okay. And then the task that you have, to-do items. The click what you see, right? The tick mark. These are the to-do items. There are around 99 to-do items. Okay. So this person, I've logged in as one of the person called SF admin or Anya Singh. Okay. Name of the person is Anya Singh. The username is SF admin. So she has to complete a new hire task. There are 58 new hire tasks that she has to complete. New hire data review, there are 8. Courses, she has to take 28 courses. Performance, she has to review 23 performance. So these are all the to-do tasks that this person has to do. Any person that you log in, it will show all of the tasks that are pending. Okay. And then this is product feedback. Product feedback means now SuccessFactors or SAP asks you to give the feedback about the product. You can give that from here. This is built-in support. Again, SuccessFactors allows you to use their support tool. Okay. And if you are using their support tool, you can use built-in support. Then you have Ask HR. There are some documentation about each topic, and if you want to know about those topics, you can click on Ask HR. So this contains some documentation. Okay, you see here, search knowledge base, and or if you want to create a ticket, you can create a ticket. So these things can be done here. And then at the end, you have a people profile icon, the profile icon of the employee, where you can log out. You can check the version information of this instance. You can go to settings to reset your password, to change the language, or to map your mobile device to the system using settings. You can go to settings, you can change the password, you can change your language, you can also map your mobile application, mobile SuccessFactors application with the instance, in your system.
Venu,
Admin sent, yeah.
the access whatever given to us, we can use that in mobile also.
Yes. You go to Play Store or the App Store, search for SuccessFactors, and then install
So
SuccessFactors application.
all the configuration functionality whatever we are using as admin,
You-
we can use that,
no.
right?
No, you cannot do the configurations in mobile. Mobile application is given for the end user purpose. Now, if you are an employee who is working for an organization, you can have your SuccessFactors application installed in your mobile. Anything like looking at your org chat, looking at your pay slip, looking at your pay information, or looking at your performance. Okay, or if you want to apply, you can apply a leave, or your manager can approve that leave. So all of those things can be done. But configuration,
Basic HR activities, right?
yes, yes.
Okay, so what is proxy now?
Proxy now is if you want to log in as someone else. Now, let's say you are in HR, okay, and one of the employees is absent today, and you want to apply a leave on behalf of him. You can proxy as that user. Someone is, some manager is on leave, and there is a approval which needs to be approved. You can proxy as that manager and approve. That means you are logging in as that person without the credentials. Okay, let's say I want to proxy as one of the approver called Mohan. Search for that user. Now this proxy now access is not given to everybody in the organization. Usually the admins or the HR people, they would be using proxy now option. Now if I go to proxy now you see I have logged in as this person now, Mohan. So I can see if there are any approvals, I can see those approvals and go and approve.
But that can be a threat to the privacy, right? Means
Now, what if somebody is on leave and you want a particular approval to be done? Now, this can be granted, that's why it can be granted only to certain employees, not every employee in the organization. Now, HRs should be able, or HRs are, let's say, you are a CEO of the organization. No, all of these approvals, you don't have to log in and do that. You can ask your PA to go and do that, right? If you have a personal assistant, they can do on your behalf.
so there will be limitation in the access, right?
Yes, you can control who can approve what requests, or what can somebody see when they proxy. You can control that.
Okay. That will be controlled by the end user or the admin?
No, not the end user. It is by the admin. Now, let's say you are going on leave. Okay. Now, you want all of your tasks to be managed by someone else. You can delegate all your requests to someone. Okay. So delegation is different. Granting proxy access different. You can also grant proxy access. Now you want to grant proxy access, you go to your settings and do grant proxy. Now you go to settings. Under settings, you have proxy option here. Okay, either assign proxy or become proxy. Now you want to assign proxy, your proxy to someone else, you assign proxy. Now you want to become proxy, you can do a proxy as well. Okay, so we'll stop it here for today, and tomorrow we'll see how to manage this foundation objects or the MDF foundation objects. We'll start with the setting up of these foundation objects in tomorrow's session.
Okay. One question, Venu. So setting up all these things, and as a consultant also, the configurations are all done in this screen, or it's like some other system that we are using to
No,
configure?
the same system. We'll be using the
Okay.
same
Here
system
we'll
to
be
configure.
setting up like, what are all we are actually seeing, yeah?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, maybe this question is a little bit external. I also did some trainings with sales and distribution and Yamam actually. So with master data setting up so that was a little bit different from what I actually saw. That system was different. So it is done somewhere else, is it?
Yeah. In
Ah.
SAP, in SAP we have two different systems: the front end and the back end. The configuration is done in SPRO, okay, and the front end for users it is ESSMSS, separate application.
Okay,
ESS, Employee Self Service, Manager Self Service. You'll have a separate portal kind of thing. You'll be given a URL which takes you to now that pulls up the data from the back end.
Okay, so the SPRO is the transaction where we actually use
Do your configuration.
Okay. So that's the transaction. Okay, cool. Yeah. So that
Here-
was my
Here we don't have now. Everybody will be logging into the same instance, but depending on the role that they are that they log in, you'll get to see the actions. Now, if I'm a consultant, I can go and define the objects using configure object definition. I can search for corporate data model. I can go to manage data. I can go to manage organized pay. But employee will not be able to see all of those things.
Okay. So with the system access that we have been provided, so we'll be able to log in, into the SPRO or whatever it is, and we can try what we are actually practicing here. Yeah?
No, SPRO is not available here in SuccessFactors. With the access what you are given, you can do all of the configuration.
What we are seeing now.
Yes.
With the SuccessFactors inside the how we actually set up. Okay, Venu. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you all.
Yeah, thank you, Venu.
Thank you, Venu.
Yeah, bye.